All right, I'm back talking NASCAR in the Cup Series. Race number 2, Ambetter Health 400 Atlanta Motor Speedway. There it is. Okay, so we are going to get into a few things, and what we're also going to do is let you know, remind you to subscribe to the channel. And this is a new channel, of course. Mystery caution. By the way, if you're watching us from Prime Sports Network, because we're still posting clips on Prime Sports Network to get you guys to go over to our new Mystery Caution channel, then that's where you go. We'll have a link in the description area. It's very simple. Head on over there because you get the entire video. Now, not sure exactly how much of it we take out. I'll know when I edit it later on. Sometimes I won't. Sometimes you'll get the whole thing. But the fact is that we've got some really cool videos coming up, especially in the IndyCar series. Interviews with drivers with Eric Smith. CJ's going to be tackling F1. So we have a lot going on. I mean, I look like it, but we've got a lot that's going to really start taking shape here on Mystery Caution. So we really hope that you people can, you viewers can head on over. And fans, this is not a great start, not a great way to start the season. I get it. Unless you're a William Byron fan. Very disappointing. Not very happy. You can imagine if you know how we talk about the series and the super speedways and what we want to see on the super speedway races. As a matter of fact, I even said it last week. I said the one thing that I just want to see, and I always say this at the end of these big, at the end when we're talking about these super speedway races, especially the 500, Daytona, Talladega, and maybe even Atlanta, and that is just want the race to finish on the green. And it did not happen. And it was like the worst of it too, because it was like a second away from getting the, a green-white checkered, which would have been perfect. And instead, we end up with a driver that was just at the right spot at the right time. That's it. That's all it is. So, matter of fact, looking at some of our comments from last week, Lewis Lynn must be a Byron fan or had money on Byron. Good going, Lewis, because it's all about taking advantage when you can. Because Lewis said, man, my Byron optimism paid off. And if you did have optimism on William Byron last week, then that's certainly a good way of looking at it. S. Cole, really missed this show. I'd roll with my boy Blaney. Yeah, S, we both lost there. Blaney got caught up in the traffic, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way it goes at Daytona, because he would have been right there, great chance to win, and it did not work out for either one of us. James Woodruff. Now, James Woodruff, and again, I welcome all questions, comments, opinions, everything. James said, focus on the, because I had asked if you, I think one of the questions I posed might have even been in the in the description area when I was trying to pump up the video about, hey, let us know what you want us to do, blah, 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 on the season. So James said, focus on the relative information and be more concise. I really honestly don't understand what you mean by that, James. I mean, I don't know how I could be more, especially the way that we're putting these videos together, because some people actually don't like the way I put these videos together because it's almost too informative. And it's not enough entertainment. It's not enough. And by the way, I am working on that. We are trying to find a really good editor that can work with us on our channels. And I will find one. And when I get an editor, then I'm going to pay an editor. And they're going to combine with the information. They're going to throw in some really cool visuals. And it's going to make the videos look even that much better. So we're working on that. But my point is that I think you do get people that, yeah, the information's great, but, and other people are like, yeah, man, I just love the information. That's it. Love it. I just wanted to just talk about the stats, show the stats, which is exactly what I've been doing. That's why I'm a little bit confused with that particular comment. And he says, your personal feelings, favorite and fantasy teams are completely irrelevant and simply waste time. Now, that is an opinion, James. And again, I value it. But I've been in the radio business for about 25, 30 years. And I know a lot of professional people who feel that way. that feel, nope, just be professional, stick with the information. That's all you do. But I mean, here on YouTube, if you don't have a personality, if you don't show your personal feelings, then you're not going to get by. This is not ESPN. This is not network television. So that's the reason why I would disagree with that myself. That's in my opinion, of course. And by the way, when I do talk about our fantasy teams, we're not talking about our fantasy teams to talk about our fantasy teams. And we've said this before. We're talking about our fantasy teams so the viewer can see, because when we talk about it, we always ask why. Why did you like this driver? What about the driver that you think is a good play to be on your team this year? And then the analyst talks about the driver, gives information on why he thinks the driver might have a good year this year. That's why he's on his fantasy team. So that's the reason why we bring that up. Not to sit there and go, hey, how's your fantasy team doing? How's yours? It's about being informative about why we constructed the fantasy team. And that's the reason why we do that. So again, I value the comments. I think it's a very professional comment by James. But that's just the way I feel. And I don't know what you guys feel. Because James has his opinion out there on our last video. If you want to comment on that, you can do that. Let me know what you guys think, because we do have a lot of viewers here who have been with us for a while. And let me know what it is that you like or don't like about what James said. Okay, so let's get the show on the road. And we are going to start, first of all, with track trend number 1. And that is Chevy. I mean, now remember, we're not going to talk about Atlanta much prior to 2022, okay? So that's because in 2022, they did the repave and the configuration change, and that's why it's more like a mini Daytona, Talladega. So that is a completely different track from 21 before to 22 to 23. So we only care about what happened. We're going to be breaking. Now, we will mention overall because, yeah, sometimes you go to a city, you go to a track, even if it's changed, and there's something about it when you walk into that arena, you just don't have it. Otherwise, in other situations, man, you can walk into that arena, you can do anything to change it, and that's your place, man. So that's why we'll bring it up, but it's not very important overall. The most important stats are just the last 2 years, and Chevy has won 3 of the 4 races since the repave and configuration. Next up, Toyota. Not only have they not won the last 2 years, but they have not won since 2013 at Atlanta. So if you're driving a Toyota, chances are you're not going to be looking too good this week unless you get a break or two. Next up, 2 pole sitters out of 4. How about that? That's pretty impressive. 50% have sat on the pole. That's surprising for a track like this. The way they've got it changed. Very surprising. Because if you forget about that, remember last week we talked about the whole thing about Daytona, and it doesn't matter where you start, and that's the stats back that up. But wow, it's still kind of strange. But it is what it is. The facts are the facts. Okay, let's now break down drivers in alphabetical order. No AJ this week. Josh Williams is driving, I believe. I saw Josh Williams driving for AJ this week. I'm kind of surprised about that. Because, again, AJ does pretty well with the drafting. But, I mean, they must have their reasons. Okay, so instead, we're going to start with Christopher Bell. And there's not a whole lot to go on because we have 4 races. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give you the results. That's the best way. Best way to give you the results and the odds, current odds. We got Christopher Bell. The odds I don't like. I don't like Christopher Bell being at 11-1. I don't understand why he's at 11-1. That's just not, he shouldn't be there. I mean, and look at that. He's got 1 top 5. And that's just, Bell has been okay on these types of tracks. He just hasn't been deserving of 11-1. I'm not really sure about why he's 11-1. Next up, that's our boy Ryan Blaney, and he has to be once again at the top of your picks this week. Ryan Blaney, there are several tracks that he is going to be one of the top picks. This once again is it. He got no luck last week. We'll see if he can get luck this week. He does have a win in Atlanta, but not the last 4. And he's been solid here, though. Those are solid numbers. So Ryan Blaney definitely has to be a top of your picks this week. Alex Bowman is driving a Chevy, but he's 25 to 1. I shouldn't say but. That's a good thing. One top 10. That's a but only one top 10. And that was a 10th. And also, this is more important. He's never led a lap before 2022 and after. He has never led a lap at Atlanta. I just can't take anyone when I've got other options. I got a lot of other options. Just can't take Bowman when he's never led a lap, even though he's driving a Chevy. That's the thing he's got going for him. He's driving a Chevy. That's it. Chase Briscoe at 50 to 1. You got a big number on Chase. Chase, not good here. You can see, and even before 6 races, the last 4, not the week to take Chase. Chris Buescher at 25 to 1. This is definitely a play. Buescher and Keselowski, teammates. One, and we'll get to him in a little bit, one has odds half of Chris Buescher. I get double the odds on Chris Buescher, so why wouldn't I take Buescher and not take Keselowski? Well, I might take both. I'm not going to personally this week, but I can see why you'd want to take both if you were going to take a limited amount of drivers, because you can only take there's about, 6 or 7 drivers in that 10 to 12 to 1 range, 14 to 1 range. You can only take half at the most. I just did not take Keselowski. We'll get into that a little bit, but I definitely took Buescher at 25 to 1. I think those odds are just way too good to pass up. Buescher, even last year, had his strongest appearance, leading 39 laps the last time he raced here. So that's important to note. And when he finished 35th and 33rd, those were wrecks. So led 39 laps with that 15th place finish last time out. And the other time that he did not wreck had a top 10. So that's why I think he's a pretty good play at 25 to 1. Kyle Busch is next. Kyle, good numbers. Matter of fact, not too many drivers can have that kind of trend line. Nice trend line there. Getting better each and every race. 5th last time out. So that's an intriguing trend line. And Kyle Busch, you know he's going to be solid on these types of tracks. He's driving a Chevy. He's coming off. I think he's only had 28 laps led over those 4 races, but not really worried about that. He has won twice at Atlanta overall. Nothing since the repave, though, and configuration, but he's still catching on, and he's a good 14 to 1, so I'm playing him this week. Now, William Byron, here's the thing. I really think that he's getting disrespected by 12 to 1 odds. I think he should be the favorite, okay? How can you not be? I mean, look at that. I mean, when he doesn't crash, he wins at this racetrack. He led 19 laps in the win last year, and he led 41 laps in the race that he finished 30th and wrecked there. And he led 111 laps in the race that the first race that he won. The first time they raced here at Atlanta with the new paving and configuration change. He's led 171 laps since then, since 2022. He's the best driver here. But, big but, he'd have to win 2 races in a row to start the season. Extremely tough to do that. Tough to win back-to-back anytime. And he'd have to win 3 out of 5. That's tough. So that's what, in my mind, moved the odds a little bit further up, where it's like, well, I think the odds are against him there. Now, and that's the reason I'm taking him, just to get my money back. That's why. But if you want to take him and put big money on him this week, I got no problem. How can I talk you off of that? I mean, he's really solid here, and he's the best. He's the best here so far. Clearly the best. Next up, Ross Chastain, 20 to 1. We saw what happened to Ross last week. We know he wasn't very good at Daytona, or was not very good at Daytona, and he really was in a position that he shouldn't have been in, the lead, and we saw how that worked out. That wasn't very good. But he started off really strong here in 2022 with the 2 runner-ups, leading a combined 74 laps. But look at last year. So and again, I think there's enough other drivers, including his teammate, with better odds that I think I'd rather go with. Very strange line, though. The race this week is going to have big telling for Ross Chastain in Atlanta. All right, who's next? Austin Cindric. This is a good play. 25-1. This is a pick. If you look at Cindric, he's raced 5 times Atlanta, 4 in the last 2 years. He wrecked the first time. Since then, all top 12s. He led 22 laps combined. He has an 8.6 average finish in his last 3 races. He's a nice play. That's why I'd rather take Cindric than Chastain in the same area. Austin Dillon. Look at that. That's surprising, isn't it? You would think, well, come on, he's really good at Daytona. Why would he be so bad at Atlanta? I don't know. You know, I mean, he wrecked twice the first year. His average is 27.7. By the way, it's Atlanta because he's never led a lap in 14 races at Atlanta. Chase Elliott's driving a Chevy. He's 12-1. He has to be one of your plays. And he's going to be for sure for me. I'm very interested. Now, look, I have him in my championship 4. So I have him on my fantasy team. So that's the reason I have him on my fantasy team, because I believe in Chase having a bounce back. But 12-1 is, it's not a great number. It's still kind of where it should be, okay? Because even last year when things weren't going great, it was a pretty decent showing. He led 96 laps in his win last year, and he's led 138 in the 4 races combined. So he's really strong here, and that's the reason. Matter of fact, I think he's second to Byron, which is why I have them both on my picks. Next up, Ty Gibbs. So here's the thing about Gibbs, all right, that you're not going to see on the board, and that is Xfinity, and this is going to be important. 28-1, good odds. The 9th, that's good, because the 34th, first time out, not so good. I'm sure there was a wreck involved there. But in the Xfinity Series, he was 6th in July last year, and he won the race in March of 2022. Now, he led the last lap only, but he did win. So he's been good on the Xfinity Series, good his last time out without the trouble at 34th, and you're getting 28-1, so he's one of my picks. Here's another one of my picks. Now, I don't know if you can still get 100-1, but it was 100-1 yesterday at DraftKings. And sort of like with AJ last week when I got him at 80 and he went down to 40 like a day or two later. Haley's got to be 60 or 50-1 now. Has to be. But he was still 100-1 yesterday. And look at that. All right. So when you take Justin Haley, not very often, but you have to take him here. His average is 12th, okay, at this track in the 4 races. And throw in the Xfinity Series last July, he finished 4th and led 80 laps. He also finished 10th in the Xfinity Series in March at Atlanta. So definitely Haley, absolute long shot play this week. Denny Hamlin, one of the favorites, but I just can't go with Hamlin. Not at 10-1, not as the favorite. We talked last week about his troubles recently at Daytona. They've continued. And to tell you the truth, it's continuing here too. So the drafting is not working out for Denny Hamlin luck-wise. And right now it's just not the time to take him, especially at that number. Keeping in mind, in 27 races at Atlanta, 1 win. So no, I'm not taking Denny Hamlin at 10-1. Daniel Hemrick is 100-1, but I'll take him because I'm getting 100-1. I'll put a buck on him. He's on my picks. Why not? I'll tell you why. He did race in the Cup Series in 2019, finished 20th. But most importantly, if you look at the Xfinity Series, and by the way, of course, he's never run in the 2 years with the new paving configuration. In the Xfinity Series, he's been really strong. Last year, both runner-up finishes. Didn't lead a lap, but both runner-up finishes. And in 2022, one of the races, he finished 5th. The other race, I believe he wrecked. So, into 3 races, Xfinity, 3 top 5s. If he doesn't wreck, 2 runner-ups. And he'll be here for the first time in the Cup Series since 2022. I'm definitely taking him as a long shot at 100-1. Eric Jones is 22-1. Another driver that I'm going to take over, say, Ross Chastain and a few others in this area. And that's because his average is 9.2. That's a very strong average. Look at that. 4 races, they've all been in the running, and you're getting 22 to 1. So, yes, Eric Jones is the one I'll take over some of these drivers like Chastain and a few others we're going to get to. Here's one of the favorites I'm not taking, and that's Keselowski. I understand why you would take him. I'm not against him, but like I said, he can only take so many of these guys. And he was really strong last year, as was the team last year. So the year before, 2022, the team wasn't good. They weren't very good here. Last year, the team was good. They were good here. Matter of fact, he led a combined 66 laps last year. What am I going to do if he wins? Well, I'm going to bow to Brad Keselowski, but it's just it's just the way it is. I mean, you can take him, and I have no problem with that, but you can't take everybody, and I'm just going with some other drivers, that's all. I don't get this. I just really don't. Look at this. Can we stop? When are we going to stop? Really? Look at this. He's 14 to 1. Why? Because he's driving a Chevy? I got Bowman at 25 to 1 driving a Chevy I'd rather take than Larson. I got 25 to 1 over 14 to 1, and Bowman actually looks better. I don't get this. I just don't. Like I said before, he's going to win probably one of these years drafting, and he's going to get lucky doing it. But go ahead. And because here's the deal. If he wins one of these things and it's by luck, his odds are going to go down even more. So the way you play Larson, in my mind, at the drafting situation, is just never take him ever. Okay, he'd have to, if he were to win, he'd have to actually, the next time or two, he'd actually be top 5, top 10, showing that he's actually done something. The guy doesn't even like drafting. So, I mean, he tells you he doesn't like this type of racing. He never is competitive in these things. Why would you go with Kyle Larson at 14 to 1? I haven't the slightest idea. Especially when I can take Corey LaJoie at 40 to 1. Look at that. He's got 2 top 5s. Now, this is really the track to take him. I know he's at his best at these tracks, but this is where he's just better. He's got the 2 top 5s. And here's the interesting thing. The top 5s came in the first race of the year at Atlanta. I don't know why, but the 31 and 21, that's like later in the year. The 4 and the 5, that's this race. So if you want to take Corey LaJoie at Atlanta, you're going to do it now, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Joey Logano's next, and Joey did not make my list, but he was one of those drivers that, like Keselowski, that I was just... Matter of fact, if I was going to take someone, I would take Logano over Keselowski. I would. Now, he's got the win. Keselowski doesn't. Matter of fact, he led 140 laps from the pole last year in that win. And so we know Joey Logano can draft. We know. And he's 10 to 1 for a reason. He's definitely a better option in my mind than Hamlin at this point. So, yeah, it was tough for me not to take Logano, but I don't have to say it again, do I? Michael McDowell, strong his last time out, finishing 4th, but I just like some others in the list. I think he's a decent long shot. I do. But I just like others. But the fact that McDowell... It can definitely be one of those long shots if things go well and there's a whole bunch of chaos. Now, I don't anticipate the chaos, of course, like Talladega or Daytona. That's it's just not the type of track. It's not big enough like that. But and then I think that's what we'll probably need in order to win a race like this. But I would not. If you want to bet him in the top 5 or the top 10, I'd go that route. John Hunter Nemechek. That's right. We're going to put a couple of bucks on John Hunter Nemechek at 50 to 1. And why are we doing that? He's never raced in the Cup Series at Atlanta before. Well, look at that. Xfinity run last year. 1st and 8th. That's the reason I'm doing it. So he raced, and that's the only time he's ever raced at Atlanta. Okay? Xfinity or Cup. And he looked really strong. So, look, until he actually shows that he can race in the Cup Series as a regular and show that he can race consistently enough in the top 10, these are the race. This is it. Right now, this is when I'll take him. So, he's on my list. Ryan Preece. Actually, I shouldn't have even popped this up because this was from Daytona. Yeah, Ryan Preece, he's not on my list. Ryan has never had a top 20 ever in 6 starts at Atlanta. So, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Tyler Reddick, if you look at him, Reddick, who we thought was a pretty decent long shot last week, this week, again, at 20-1, there were others I like Jones and Busher and Cindric and even Gibbs and a couple others and some of the long shots. So I'm going to stay away from Reddick here. He doesn't lead laps at all, and he's wrecked and been involved in incidents like 2 or 3 of the races. So yeah, not at 20-1. He should be 30-1. Ricky Stenhouse. Did I put Ricky here? Ricky, who we know can draft. I think we got him here. Yep. Ricky at 40-1. 10th last time out. Almost had the got better each race deal. Almost. He's a pretty good long shot contender. I'm not going to pick him, but you should definitely consider him at 40-1. Now here's a driver I will take around the same odds range, and that's Daniel Suarez, Chase Chastain's teammate. Why am I taking Suarez over Chastain? 2 reasons. One, both drove really well in 2022, as you can see, but Suarez backed it up with a runner-up in 2 races last year. Chastain did not. And I'm getting 30-1 over Chastain's 20-1. So that's the reason why I'm going to take Suarez and not take Chastain. So not bad getting 30-1 on a driver that's been 6th or better in 3 of the 4 races. Martin Truex Jr., we went ahead and put a couple of bucks on him at Daytona, even though the odds are just dropping too much for him. Matter of fact, they dropped last week too far. I mean, they got him down to like 16-1 last week, and this week, 16-1. I mean, come on. That's just, now you're getting crazy. Now you're starting to get to Kyle Larson territory. All right? The guy has not had any success drafting. And look at the line, by the way. It's the opposite of Kyle Busch. That's not what you want to see. He's gotten worse each time out here at Atlanta. No, not at 16-1. And then the last driver is Bubba Wallace. And Bubba has actually shown more than you see in the results here. But he's 18-1, and that's the reason why I'm not taking him. If you're going to give me 25 or 30-1 based on those results, that's what it should be. And his history, not at 18-1. I mean, some of these odds are just, I can't take them. That's why I'm saying there's so many other options. I just can't. I got to go with the odds over a lot of other reasons, and that's what you have to do with some of these tracks, especially the luck tracks, is you go by the odds. You go by which are the bargains. And, hey, it's a freak show. You saw what happened last week, which I just couldn't get out of my mind. I'm glad I did not do a live reaction video because I would have thrown something at the television screen. I waited 24 hours for them to end the race on caution as you just got into the final lap, and the yellow comes out. It's race over. Screw you, man. Screw you. And that's what really sucks about this sport. And I don't know what the answer is. I'd like to sit in a room with the best minds and figure it out, though. I'll tell you that. Because it has to be better than that. It just has to. I mean, the last 3 Daytona 500s, remember last week we went over it. The drivers, Cindric and McDowell and Stenhouse, winning the Daytona, the best race of the year, supposedly, the Daytona 500. And then, in the 4th year, you win it like that. I mean, you have this build-up for the 500, and you get these long shots, and then when you do have a competent driver win, he wins like that. And this is supposed to be the biggest marketed race of the year. You got to do something to change that. I don't know what it is, but you have to do something. It's annoying. It's so frustrating. And I don't know why. I continue to get frustrated by it, even though I do protect myself a little bit and say, hey, I'm not going to get all into this. They could screw this race up with the yellow at the end. So try not to get too involved with it. And I do, but it still gets you when it happens. And it's frustrating. What I'm going to do before I wrap it up is, where are we? Yeah, let me pop on here because I want to show you guys something. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Where am I? There I am. Okay. Here, this. All right. I had this when, this is a pretty hot movie right now. Top Gun. Of course, it's T-O-P, not H. But that I couldn't get, of course, Top Gun. But when the movie came out, I had a company car, and my company car was a Mustang, a 5.0 Mustang. And this was my plate in New Jersey. So this is awesome. I couldn't believe I was able to get this too. You know how hard it is to get these really cool plates? Obviously, I'm saving that sucker. I'm going to be able to use it. I'm not even sure if I can use it if I went to New Jersey again. I'm not sure why I would go to New Jersey again, but it's a cool plate. It really is. And it just kind of reminds me, and it's just, the 80s, man. Kind of, that's Top Gun. That's what people remember. And I've got something. I got a nice little cool little toy, something, some memorabilia to kind of, keep that memory going. I'm going to Bristol for sure. I'm going to Bristol next month. I still haven't decided if I'm going into the suite yet. I don't even know if there are any seats left by the time I decide, because it's so expensive. But I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna splurge. And then the more I think about it, I'm like, oh man, I'm throwing an extra $500 in there. Do I really want to do that? So I'm going back and forth, but I don't know. I'm going though, okay? And I'm gonna definitely take my camera. We're gonna take a whole lot of videos, and we'll have some fun with it. I don't know if I'll get a press pass. I'll definitely look for one. I'll request one. I doubt I'll get one. I'm at Eric, and I'm not like I was in the old days when I was in radio. And that's the thing. I have never bought a ticket to a NASCAR race because I never had to. Matter of fact, the last time I bought anything for a sporting event, when I was a teenager. So ever since I got into the industry when I was about in my early 20s, every time I would go to an event, I was able to get a credential. So that's another reason why, it's like, man, so it's bad enough I'm going to spend about, $500 between, me and my partner who's going. Well, the person who's going, not my partner, because that could be misconstrued in a couple different ways. But I'm going with someone to the race, and it could cost about $500 total. So it's like, do you spend the other $500? Oh, it's so hard to do that. But it's one of those things where it's like, you know what? Why not? Right? Why not just splurge and just do it? Because Bristol's Bristol, and just have a great day. Don't think about, because if I do it, that's it. It's done. I'm not going to think about the money. Matter of fact, what I'll probably do is I'll probably actually last week, I was trying to wait another week with some of my wagers last week. Now, forget Daytona. Obviously, that wasn't going to work out. That was the luck anyway. But in golf, I had Will Zalatoris. I'm not sure. You probably guys have no idea who I'm talking about here. But I had Will Zalatoris at 50-1, and I put $25 on him, I believe, or $20. Yeah, 20, to win the event. He finished second, and the golfer who beat him shot a course tying record and did it in the final round, which is very hard. So in other words, something happened that never happened, or I'd have an extra $1,000. And then, boom, yeah, baby. Now I'm putting that right into my tickets to Bristol. So that didn't work out. But we'll, I hit money with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so that helps. I still got some nice spending money in my sportsbook account, but if I could, and I've got a month between now and then, I figure what I'll do is I'll hit something. I'll have some good luck, hopefully, positive thinking. I'll hit something, and then I'll make up for it. But like I said, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for me. It's not like I've gone before. It's not like I'm gonna go all the time. Maybe I'd like to, but maybe I don't, and maybe this is the only time I get a chance to go. So why not splurge? I'm trying to talk myself into it. Anyway, if anybody's been to Bristol, and if anybody's been to a suite, because obviously I'd go to the Blaney suite, but if anybody has been to, well, look at this. I forgot to put up I did my horse racing show just before. I didn't think I was going to be on video. I put the checker flags up there just in case, though, but forgot the picture. But you know about this. There it is. And so I'm going to be doing the Blaney suite if I do it. So if anybody's been to a suite at Bristol or just been to Bristol, period, and you want to let me know about how, what you think. Hey, is it worth it or is it not? Let me know. I'd appreciate it. That's going to wrap it up. So what do we have? Las Vegas next week, I believe. And picks. How can I forget? I forgot the picks. All right, let me get out of here. So let's get back to the picks. Where are the picks? There are the picks. All right. So there you go. CJ's picks. Picks came in late last week. He did have Byron in his picks. So he did make, I think, 50-something bucks on the week. So, but CJ is going to have his picks each week because he had them last year. But there you go. CJ's picks each week. Again, Eric's working officially for IndyCar, so we can't get into the gambling with Eric. But even though it's NASCAR. And there I am with my picks. So those are my official picks on the right, and those are CJ's picks on the left. And as far as top picks, because this is important, let me make sure I've got CJ's top picks. Should have had him here lined up. I believe, I think CJ had Blaney, and he had Logano and Elliott. Those are his top three picks. Blaney, Logano, and Elliott. And his long shot is Eric Jones. That's his top long shot. My top three would be Blaney. They're obvious because look at the big money here. Blaney, Kyle Busch, and if I had a third, I would do Buescher. That makes sense, right? There's the 200, the 280, the 270. So I do Blaney 1, Busch 2, Buescher 3, and my long shot would be Haley. Haley would be my top long shot. And if his numbers drop, like I think they will, and if they get too close to Suarez, I would take Suarez. But if they stay, even if they're double than Suarez, I'd take Haley. All right. That's it. I'm out of here. Las Vegas next week. Because they used to go out on the West Coast right away. So I think it's interesting that they go back-to-back drafting races. I don't think they've done this before. So anyway, usually I have Eric around here to fill me in with that kind of stuff. So anyway, if you have any questions or comments, let me know. If you have any specific questions or comments about anything, stats, trends, odds, you can also check us out on our Discord channel. We can communicate there. But we welcome the comments on the videos. Subscribe to our new Mystery Caution channel. And when you subscribe there, don't unsubscribe on Prime Sports Network either. That's because we still are going to have a lot of stuff for you there too. That's going to wrap it up. Best of luck, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.